Khan Academy, add and subtract fractions, and we're working on the subtopic add fractions with unlike denominators. Add fractions with unlike denominators. 10/12 plus 1/4. Okay, so again, I like to just write these vertically so that I can see them a little bit better. 10/12 and then 1/4, and we're adding those two together. So I need to find a common denominator because when we add fractions, we cannot add fractions if they have unlike denominators. So one way we can always find a common denominator is by doing 4 times 12. But that's going to give us a pretty big number in this situation. So the other thing that I always try to look for is, can I change my smaller number into my bigger number? So is there a multiple that would let me do that? And there is in this case, because I can do 4 times 3 is 12. So I can make this into twelfths. So 4 times 3 is 12. So then 1 times 3 is 3. So now I'm no longer thinking about this as 1/4. I'm thinking of this as 3/12. And now I have 10/12 plus 3/12. And that's going to give me 13/12. Now, if I answer 13/12, I'm not sure if they're going to allow that as an answer or not. Okay, they did in this case. So maybe in our future lessons, we're going to talk about that typically we would not want a larger number on the top in this as an answer. So 5/4 plus 1/2. And again, my first thing I'm going to look at is, can I change my smaller number into my bigger number by using multiples? And I can. 2 times 2 is 4. So 2 times 2 is 4. So I have to do the same on the top. 1 times 2 is 2. And now I'm no longer thinking about this as the 1/2. I'm thinking of it as 2/4. So now I can do 5/4 plus 2/4, which would be 5, 6, 7/4. So 7/4 is my answer. 3/10 plus 2/6. Now here's where we're going to have an issue, because we can't use that method that I used on the other two. There's no way I can do a 6 times 1 is not 10, 6 times 2 isn't 10, 6 times 3 isn't 10. So instead, another quick, easy way to do this is just to make both of my denominators 60, 10 times 6. So I'm going to do 10 times 6 is 60. And since that's what I did with my denominator, I'm going to do it to my numerator. So 3 times 6 is 18. And then 6 times 10 is 60. And then 2 times 10 would be 20. So now I have 18/60 and 20/60. So when I add 18 plus 20, I'm going to get 38/60. And at this point in Khan Academy, they're not concerned with you simplifying or reducing your answers. 7/6 plus 1/3. Okay, and I'm going to go back to that first method that we talked about. I can definitely make these both into a 6 because I can do 3 times 2 is 6, 1 times 2 is 2. So then I have 7/6 plus 2/6, so 7, 8, 9, so 9/6 is my answer. Remember, when we add and subtract fractions, we don't add or subtract the denominators, just our numerators. 4/5 plus 2/10. And lucky us, okay, they kind of did us a favor here again. That smaller number can be changed to the bigger number because I can do 5 times 2 is 10. So 4 times 2 is 8. And then that gives, I'm kind of ignoring that now. Then I have 8/10 plus 2/10. So 8 plus 2 would be 10/10. tenths. And it hopefully by now you're noticing that that would be the same as 1 whole. 5/3 plus 2/4. Now in this case, I cannot change and say 3 times 1 is not 4, 3 times 2, 3 times 3. I can't do that. So then my second go-to, if I can't change my smaller number into my bigger number using multiples, my second go-to is going to be to multiply my two denominators. So 3 times 4 is 12. And since I did 3 times 4 on the bottom, I'm going to do 5 times 4 on my numerator. So that's going to be a 20. And then 4 times 3 is 12. And 2 times 3 is 6. So 26/12. So 26/12. And then 4/6. I'm glad that they gave us this one as the last one. And 4/8. Okay, there's definitely multiple ways that you can do these. Again, in this case, I cannot do 6 times 1 or 6 times 2 or 6 times 3 to change my number into an 8. That doesn't work with multiples. So instead, I'm going to multiply my two denominators together. 6 times 8 is 48. And since I did 6 times 8 on the bottom, I have to do times 8 on the top. So 4 times 8 is 32. And then 8 times 6 is 48. And then since I did times 6 here, I need to do times 6 to my numerator. So 4 times 6 is 24. So then I need to add 32 plus 24, which is going to be 56 over 48. My denominator stays the same.